In a policy move that is as bold as it is bewildering, Ed Miliband, the Energy Secretary in Keir Starmer's government, is weighing up one of the most significant overhauls of the British electricity market since the Thatcherite privatisations of the 1990s, and that's zonal pricing. Under this plan, electricity prices would vary by region based on local supply and demand, a sort of postcode lottery. In short, if you live in the south of England, brace yourself because you may be about to pay more to turn the kettle on than your cousins in Caithness. Supporters, including Octopus Energy, OVO, and Ofgem, argue the current one-price-fits-all model distorts the market, and billions are paid in so-called constraint payments, money given to wind farms to shut down because the national grid can't handle their energy. In the first 2 months of 2025 alone, the UK paid £180,000 an hour to not use green energy. The proposed zonal system aims to solve this, encouraging energy consumption closer to its source and reducing costly infrastructure upgrades. The FTI Consulting estimates that the reform could save £3.7 billion per year, money that could, in theory, lower bills across the board, theoretically. Surely the much bigger solution would be to have a system of storing energy. But theory collides with political reality. The south of England, already more expensive in housing, commuting and food, may now face an energy surcharge. Milliband's vision, critics argue, creates a postcode lottery with bills no longer based on usage alone but on the accident of geography. And polling by Renewable UK suggests 58% of voters in England and Wales oppose the move. In other words, the areas hit hardest are the ones least convinced by the arguments for reform. Let's not forget, Labour came to power pledging to tackle the cost of living crisis. This proposal, however technocratically dressed, reeks of a policy that would exacerbate the cost of living crisis. If enacted, it risks punishing households for the government's failure to invest in grid modernisation during sunnier fiscal days. The South already subsidises national energy and infrastructure with taxation. Now they may be asked to pay again on their utility bills. In effect, the reward for economic productivity and dense population is a financial penalty. Ironically, Milliband's plan, meant to accelerate net zero, could throttle it. SSE and Scottish Power warn the pricing system could deter investment in renewables. Why build a solar or wind farm in a region where energy will be artificially cheap and demand low? If developers no longer know what the future market looks like, especially under region-specific tariffs, they may demand higher subsidies to compensate for risk or walk away altogether. This could delay Labour's pledge for a clean energy grid by 2030, making this a self-defeating venture. The optics are diabolical. Labour risks looking metropolitan and out of touch, a government penalising families for where they live, while simultaneously preaching equality and green justice. It hands an open goal to the populist right. Reform UK and Conservative backbenchers are already circling, calling it net zero lunacy. And yet Milliband seems undeterred. Reports suggest Whitehall has advised him to proceed, though a decision won't come before mid-2025, and the delay conveniently takes us past local elections. This policy is a Rube Goldberg machine in reverse, an overly complicated solution likely to produce unintended chaos. The aim is noble: lower emissions, reduced grid strain and long-term savings. But the execution may well undermine Labour's core promise, economic fairness. If Milliband presses on, the South may pay the price, not just in pence but per kilowatt, but in political capital. Zonal pricing could turn into zonal crisis, alienating voters and undermining the very transition it tries to finance. Because in politics, as in electricity, resistance builds when you ignore the laws of common sense.